The Egyptian doggo Anubis is the final god participating in Ragnarok, while the Joker of humanity Nostradamus and the unrevealed Rasputin make up the final humans. At least based on the official fighting roster that was revealed at the start of the series, with demigods like Siegfried and all of these outer gods being potential wildcards in the future, leaving us with this question: who will fight in Ragnarok round 13? So as everyone knows, Odin is currently facing Kentoki for round 12, a fight that so far has been providing final round energy throughout, whether this be through Kentoki's walkout or the entire narrative of Odin in the series, the true and main villain of the Ragnarok story. With humanity actually being in the lead by 1 point right now, leading into the most popular prediction from the community, that being Odin's victory in round 12 over Kentoki, evening up the scores for round 13 to be the decider. But as you guys have probably noticed or came to a conclusion about, we have some major issues to address. The first one is Odin himself. Him surviving this current round really means anything can happen moving forward, with his goal not just involving the destruction of humanity. That's more of a stepping stone or key requirement to achieve his true dream, that being the resurrection of the sealed primordial gods, then the destruction of everything, which includes all of the other gods in Valhalla that we've seen. None of them are safe. But let's say after he defeats Kentoki, bro chills and watches the following round, where later in the story more insanity could come from him, at least most likely. Bringing us to the next issue. Looking at the fighting roster, we clearly have one god and 2 humans remaining, and technically there should only be 13 rounds, with this issue being caused by Buddha and Hades, but of course further things can change and I do predict there will be adjustments made as well. But the question is, who will fight Anubis? A god that has honestly received the Shiva experience so far, if not worse, for example. So we first got introduced to the doggo in chapter 84, right after round 9 concluded with Apollo defeating Leonidas. We see Brynhilda select Okita Tsuji as the next human fighter. Then as a response, we cut to the remaining gods deciding who's going to fight next, resulting in the introduction of Anubis, who's begging Zeus to pick him to fight, something that leaves Zeus concerned at first, but all of them pretty much agree or have a lack of care for such a response. This includes the likes of Odin. But then Susnur also makes his grand appearance to the series, highlighting his insane pressure and doing a similar thing to what the likes of Zeus did to Shiva previously in the story. Susnur is here and wants to fight, and this is solely due to the human fighter Okita Tsuji being chosen, so unlucky to our boy Anubis. Throughout that fight, we see him getting excited and more hyped for the chance to have his go, giving everyone the impression that he will be fighting in round 11. However, with no discussion between the gods, Loki selects himself, meaning Anubis didn't even get a chance to fight or argue about going next, but at least we got a reaction from him during the round 11 fight. So far for Odin vs Kentoki, Anubis has not appeared or even been mentioned. I'm imagining that he's crashing out, going crazy due to this situation, but it's quite strange and unfortunate that we still haven't got an update. But it likely means when he does go out in round 13, unless Kentoki wins of course and the tournament is over, he has next level rage and kill intent. Bringing us to the main question of today's video: Rasputin or Nostradamus? Like a lot of people, since the very start of the series when I began making videos on it over 5 years ago, subscribe by the way, I've been predicting and talking about the Rasputin vs Anubis matchup. And now, over 110 chapters later, I'm still here talking about it. All according to plan, you could say. Naturally, they would save the best for last, top of the verse Rasputin. He could only be saved for such greatness. That's why he's the only fighter yet to be revealed, with these panels being the closest we have ever gotten. Perhaps confirming that he isn't a femboy, and perhaps showing that he wields an almighty beard. Once again, all according to plan. But there's also another path the story could take. Rasputin was never actually going to appear, and we have been severely baited by the authors for many years. Regardless of that terrible timeline, when it comes to the remaining Valkyries, Brunhilde and Gol by the way, the main two, I do see Brunhilde being matched up with the goat as more likely, and perhaps being the one to slay Anubis to win the tournament, which will then bring us the post-Ragnarok arc with Odin crashing out, where Nostradamus can play his role as the Joker potentially. But before I dive into that insanity, I do think it's possible Nostradamus is actually chosen instead, facing the Egyptian doggo. This is since his official reveal in Ragnarok Season 3, or Chapter 55 of the manga, makes him the character we've had to wait the longest for him to fight since his introduction. Bro has wanted to fight since his introduction as well, so it's quite strange all things considered. He's recognized as the prophet of the century, and his first words in Ragnarok were the following: "Allow me to prophesize, the ones to win Ragnarok will be the gods." Something that may turn out to actually be true, however this was in a more so joking manner, highlighting who Nostradamus is as a character, with Brunhilde claiming that the man before you is the most obnoxious man in all of human history, and it's unfortunate that he's also very strong. This is paired with him being known as a character known for his pranks, giving many people in the fandom the impression that he would actually be facing Loki. However, with what comes next decided most people's predictions, including mine, we see Brunhilde threatening to send Nostradamus back to Helheim, that being the underworld in the Ragnarok story, resulting in the human to kinda beg for mercy, but again this is more so him acting. Brunhilde says, "Enough with the obvious lies. If you had truly felt like it, you could have come back at any time, even if it took killing the guards," highlighting that Nostradamus is so strong that the likes of Tartarus and escaping such a place would not be a problem at all. But also take note, there's other factors in regards to that statement I'll get into later in today's video. Naturally, this comment about Helheim has led many fans, and most importantly Gol here, to question why he would actually be in Helheim as a human, where Brunhilde reveals that he broke a god's taboo and became the only one in all of humanity to be cast into Helheim, highlighting that Nostradamus is different to any other human we've seen in the story so far, and this taboo that he broke is destroying the Bifrost, pretty much the gate between the three main realms, that being Valhalla, Helheim and Midgard/Earth. Something that looks like this, and based on the canon in the Ragnarok story, is only allowed to be used by chief gods in the Ragnarok story. On top of that, the reason for this didn't seem to be that serious, Nostradamus just vibing in a sense. This naturally results in Gol to view him as a sinister criminal, and Brunhilde to pretty much ask what he's doing here, where Nostradamus reveals, "Yeah, I'm just wondering if it's my turn yet," highlighting that he may be interested in fighting, resulting in the big reveal most of us have been talking about since this chapter. Your turn is still a long way off because you are our Joker. Highlighting once again that Nostradamus is different to pretty much every other human on the roster, or a comparison many people have made. Adam is the ace of humanity, while Nostradamus is the Joker. Something that to me, and I would say a majority of people in the fandom, to have the prediction that Nostradamus would be the one to face Odin, the final chief god on the official roster, main villain of Ragnarok, it just makes too much sense, begging the question of who Nostradamus is set up to fight in the tournament. and his entire purpose or point in the story, as since his introduction we've only seen him a few times, mostly just reacting to the various fights, most notably during the Beelzebub one, which is also a very interesting thing to consider, until we got the next big reveal about him. This was in chapter 96, where we see him bait out a goal by using a hologram of Brynhilda he had seemingly turned into, proceeding to knock her out, kidnapping Goal, and taking her into Tartarus. This is where we see Nostradamus having a key and the ability to free roam throughout the prison of the gods. Clearly the guards know him quite well. Walking into the room of Siegfried, one of the most important characters in the entire Ragnarok tournament, the one who is the primordial god vessel for Odin, boyfriend of Brynhilda, and key reason why the Ragnarok tournament is occurring right now, with Siegfried requesting to Nostradamus to bring Goal here, where we get it revealed that Nostradamus was appointed as Siegfried's personal doctor by Odin himself. That means Odin and Nostradamus have some type of relationship we don't know the full extent of. Very strange stuff. But based on all the conversations throughout here, even including Goal questioning whether Nostradamus is a traitor, it mostly highlights that him and Siegfried are close friends. Yes, it's possible he could be some type of traitor, but it seems unlikely at this point. With us getting it reconfirmed multiple times that Nostradamus is a talented doctor and is someone to trust, alongside him being a main one to explain alongside Siegfried Odin's overall plans and how he's going to accomplish it, bringing us to what Siegfried says here. Directly to Goal that she is the final piece, leaving most people to come to the conclusion that maybe Nostradamus here will be the one using Goal as his Valkyrie, considering all the setup and interactions between the two we've gotten now. Something that does end up being the final round of the official Ragnarok tournament, where Nostradamus and Goal managed to defeat Anubis. However, I get the sense that many people would feel that outcome would be lackluster for both of these characters. Therefore, my prediction remains as round 13 will be Anubis vs Rasputin, and could very well be that almighty draw I've been talking about for a number of years. This will set up the possibility and the requirement of further rounds. That's where Nostradamus can have his fight, whether this be against one of the Apocalypse of the Gods characters, one of the Ragnarok fighters fighting again, a newly introduced character, maybe Siegfried getting taken control of by Odin somehow, some way, or perhaps the whole story goes next level, Odin's plan to just speedrun the destruction of humanity on his own without completing the Ragnarok tournament, leading into an all-out war which could result in the resurrection of the primordials, where we know that there's 4 Yggdrasil, that being the original Odin, who pretty much takes the spot as current Odin, the original Satan, Ymir and Chaos, ones that could very well have matchups with the current era. For example, Nostradamus can fight one of them, Beelzebub can fight the current Satan, Buddha is healed enough to fight again, maybe Ymir, maybe Chaos, and all the other gods who have seen the light of humanity and will likely learn the dangers of the primordials as they want to destroy the other gods as well, will team up in an all-out war, with there being other evil primordials on Odin's side as well, as we've learned in flashbacks. Meaning, moving forward, anything can really happen. However, I still believe round 13 will be the long-awaited introduction of Rasputin against the long-awaited Anubis as well, which may be the final battle in the tournament itself, but not the end of the Record of Ragnarok story. And with that, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts and everything down in the comments. Subscribe for more. Watch all these other Record of Ragnarok videos if you're a true legend. And that's it, guys. Peace.